Hello everybody, Joe Malone coming to you live on Dallas Trading Floor. It is Friday, finally Friday, and the market, wow, it's punishing the tech stocks once again, and who knows what's going to go on here, but I have some good news for you, and that is I have four very nice stocks that are in the oil sector. I've been buying in the oil sector, been starting to see some really nice action here. Really, the market is in kind of in two, it's sort of the tale of two cities. One is the tech that's represented by the NASDAQ, and the other are the oil stocks. So without further ado, let's start looking at some of the, the markets. We were down on everything today. The Dow was down about 8.2%. S&P down. NASDAQ was down. Russell was down. All of them were down. The NASDAQ in particular was the one that was down the most. And, it's just, that's kind of the name of the game here. I mean, it's really basically a tale of two cities. It's the oil stocks and it's the tech stocks. And the tech stocks just haven't been producing the kind of, what we want to see. I mean, they've just been pulling back and back and back, and I don't know, they may go even lower, but not to worry. We have many things that we can look at, and here are some stocks that I want to show you. Basically, here's the list of the stocks that I kind of like right now, and we're going to go through one by one. But of course, Chevron is looking fairly good. I've been in Chevron for a while. It's looking pretty darn good. It's just above a buy point, so this is still actionable, which is interesting. The current price is 177.60, but it's in the buy zone. The pivot being 174.76. So if we look at the chart, let's take a look at the chart. Basically, here's the chart for Chevron, and what we're talking about here is that, as you can see, there's been a very nice upward trend on Chevron, and basically what the charts are showing us is that there's a pivot or buy point at 174.54. Now, one of the great things about this stock is that it is so strong. Let's take a look at the checklist. It's an 89% checklist here, and it passes on everything except for the earnings per share, but that indeed is not a problem, because if we go over here to the weekly chart, we can see on this that if we're looking at everything, the sales were up 70% in the last quarter, and the profits were up 261%. And this is no small stock, by the way. This is Chevron. It's one of the largest companies in the world. It has a price to earnings ratio of 17. By the way, in the tech world, the average earnings per share is about 35 to 40. So this is double as good. Return on equity, 12%. This isn't a very exciting stock, but boy, it is a stock that you can definitely glom onto. The cash flow in this one, $17.53, and it's a $177 stock. So the return on equity here, 12%. Right now in the market, that's what the market is telling us they want to see. They want to see more of these high return on equity type of situations. So that's one that definitely I own right now. I have 3 full positions in it, and I don't know if I will buy any more of this, just because I want to spread it out a little bit. Now, in my screening, I came across a very interesting stock today, and it's a, believe it or not, Colombian company. Now, this is the Colombian, I think it's the Colombian National Oil Company, but basically it's a Colombian company. But what I like about this one, it's not just drilling for oil. They've got refining capacity as well, plus transportation, and so this one even is doing better in terms of even better than Exxon. Now, of course, this is a much smaller stock, and it's a little bit different. But I just want to show you the chart. This is the weekly chart on it, and it's coming right up to this very nice buy point here. The buy point on this one being, the buy point being, let's see if we can get it. There we go. The buy point on this one being 1840. We're currently at 1760, and that means we're right below the buy point. Now, these just came through earnings, and their sales were up 83%, and profits up 107. The symbol on this one, the symbol on this one is EC. Very easy to remember. EC. It is buyable right now, as well. So the other stock I want to show you is that's buyable, actionable right now. That's an oil stock. Of course, is one that probably everybody's heard of. I just bought another position in this one. It's British Petroleum Bp. Pretty much everyone's heard of this one, but you know, normally in a normal market, I mean, this wouldn't be very exciting at all. But in this kind of market, this is actually very exciting. It has a relative strength of 94. That means this is in the top 6% of all the stocks out there. I also want to point out that the sales for BP were up 40%. And this is a mammoth company. This is a giant company. Also, the price to earnings ratio on this one was a 7. Remember, the lower the better. 7 is an incredible number for price to earnings ratio. This is BP, and it's actionable right now. Why? Because the buy point on this one is 34.16. Currently, we're at 32.90 and an after-hours trading. So basically, you can get in on this one before it moves higher. So this is something that you might want to look at. It's BP. Let's see if I can turn. There we go. I wasn't turning on. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we should be live on Yellow Duck, which is basically Instagram. I forgot to turn that on. I'm learning more about this, and I'll just review these in a second. The 4 stocks that are actionable right now, the oil stocks. Let's go to the third one on the list, and the fourth one on the list, and of course that's one that everyone has heard of. That's Shell. SHEL is the symbol, and that one is also setting up very, very nicely. It's slightly above its buy point. The buy point on this one, 56.13. It's currently 59.97, but it's not too far extended. It's moving right up that right up the 21-day exponential line. So this one is buyable. Now, I bought shares today for one of my accounts. Because I do think also that this one is very good, Shell. And one of the reasons, my theme here is the demand is for refined product, not necessarily the crude oil. There's a lot of crude oil out there, but the problem, of course, is refining it into diesel and the other fuels that are needed. So you want to look to companies right now that have refining capacity. Why? Because there's going to be very few new refineries built, if any, going forward. So the companies that have refining capacity, they are going to be able to basically control pricing. They're going to have a lot of pricing power. And of course, that's the reason why Chevron is good. That's also the reason why Shell is good, and several others. I want to show you 2 more. Now, these aren't in the buy zone, but these are definitely ones that you want to look at as well. One of them, of course, is Marathon Oil, MRO. Now, this is not buyable, unfortunately. It is a little bit extended, and if you've been watching my show for any amount of time, you'll know that extended means even though it's the right stock, it's not the right time to buy the stock. This is Marathon, and if we go over to the weekly chart here, we can see it's making a higher high. Now, this is a very, very strong stock. This also produces oil. It also refines. It's quite a good stock. 99 is the relative strength. This is in the top 1% of all the stocks out there. Is this one, MRO. Now, you could buy it here, but it's not an optimal place to buy it. The first 4 stocks that I was showing you today, Chevron, Shell, BP, and EC, those are all buyable. These 3 other ones that I'm going to show you right now are not buyable just because they're extended. But these should be on your watch list. Why? Because these stocks are going to be setting up soon, and they're going to be buyable in the buyable range once again. Of course, and if you watch my show, I'll be showing you when these stocks come into a viable range. The next one I want to talk about here is Valero. Symbol is VLO. And this is based in San Antonio, Texas, a very large refiner and also a retailer of oil. And it's a major company. Also, believe it or not, they have a refinery in the Caribbean in Aruba. So very, very interesting company. Today, they closed at 135.42. Also, if you look at their statistics, their sales were up 65%. In the last quarter, the profits were up 241%. I mean, wow, that's incredible. The cash flow, $8.43 on a stock that costs $135. Not bad, not bad. The return on equity is about 6%, but a lot better than putting that money in a bank account where you get basically 0%. This one's a winner. Valero Energy. Now, I wouldn't buy it at this level. Why? Because it's a little bit above its buy point. The correct buy point on this one, 83.15. So we kind of have to put this one on hold for a while because it will come into a viable area, but right now it's not. Also with Valero, and I want to show you that, this has a 98 relative strength, which means that it's in the top 2% of all the stocks out there. So as the S&P as the S&P comes down, this one comes up. So this is basically gaining on the S&P. So people are selling their S&P stocks, they're selling their tech stocks, but guess what they're buying? They're buying their oil stocks. And these are the oil stocks that I've identified that are very, very good. Now, the seventh one on the list is one based right here in Dallas. It's called Sinclair Oil Company. Symbol is DINO. And this one, I don't know if you've ever seen their stations, but they have a brontosaurus, and I really like that. It's a kind of a very cool mascot. But this one just has started to take off. Now, in a technical term, it is above its buy point. The buy point on this one, 42.39. Currently, it's at 52.84. But I do believe that if this pulls back a little bit, I wouldn't buy this today. I'd wait for a pullback on this one, probably to the 10-week line, or about $43. I think it probably will pull back, and that's the when to buy this. But this one also, incredible performance. This one's up 113% quarter over quarter. That's the sales, and their profits, and this is the key, 287% up. So wow, that's pretty incredible. This has cash flow of $4.62, making this return on the equity about 4%, a little bit less than Valero. The earnings, the price to earnings ratio, also a little bit not quite as good as Valero at 17. Now, let's kind of review all of the stocks that we're talking about that are the oil stocks that we can definitely that are definitely actionable. The first one, of course, is Chevron. That's CVX. And this one is right in the buy zone right now, which is a great place, obviously, to buy it. I'm going to switch over to the daily chart to show you kind of what I'm talking about here, and that is we are right at this. We're right above the consolidation here. I've been buying this since it touched the 40-day line. I've made my third buy, one below, one right about at the pivot, and then one above the pivot. So that's what we're trying to do here. It was up about, not a lot, $1.60 today, but just making this nice, clean progress here. This is one I think you ought to consider. I know it's huge. I know everyone's heard of it, but I think you ought to consider it. It is doing very well. In an inflationary market, right now in California, you're seeing $8 a gallon gasoline. Chevron is going to benefit tremendously from that. So this would be a way to get in on that. I know it's painful when you go to the pump, you see those prices and you go, oh my God, this is terrible. Here's a way you can mitigate that by buying a little bit of Chevron. Another one, of course, that I want to show you, this is one I've been buying as of late. It's BP. Everybody's heard of that one too, British Petroleum. But this is also set up very, very well. Now, this one isn't quite up to the buy point. So this one actually, if you want to get in on this one earlier, this one is showing some nice action. It's come up and it's reversing higher. The buy point on this one is 34.16. We're at 32.92, so we're almost at the buy point. that is not a bad place to start putting in a position here. 40% up on sales just this quarter, 146% up in terms of profit. That's pretty amazing. The cash flow in this one, $1.37 per share, or a 7, and this is unbelievable, a price to earnings ratio of 7. That's just incredible when you think about it. Return on equity, 17%. This is BP. Everybody's heard about it. It's based, of course, in London and also in The Hague in the Netherlands. So this one also is one you want to look at. Now, I'm going to go back and show you the last one again. I know I've gone through these several times. The one I really think, I don't have a position in this one yet, but I'm really interested in it. Its symbol is EC, and it's a Colombian. It is a Colombian stock, which is really interesting. This one is showing some very strong action, and I want to show it to you because I think that there's something here that we also could get involved with. Basically, last quarter, this was up 83% in their sales, 107% in their profits. The cash flow, obviously, it's a lower price stock, 15 cents per share. The return on equity on this one, though, is incredible. It's 26%. The price to earnings ratio is a 7. That's the same as BP. And it is looking like it is being, it is looking like it is, the ratings are very good on this one. We have a composite rating on this one of 98, which is in the top 2%. So this is another one you might want to consider. It's EC. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. Well, thank you for that. All right, I'm going to show you next my holdings, and then we're going to get into some questions next. Thanks for holding on here. All right, this is my current portfolio. This is what they call the small portfolio. And basically, this shows you my sample portfolio and how I'm doing this month. Now, this is the profitability since this month. Now, as you'll see, this is very unusual in that I have most of my position here in Chevron. Now, normally I would not do this, and I would not do this for a regular stock, but Chevron is it's kind of a slow-moving behemoth, and it's very profitable. So I'm up on that one, as you can see as well. I also have a position in a company that is called Flex LNG. FLNG is the symbol on it. And this Flex LNG is a shipper. It's a shipping company that's shipping shipping LNG to Europe. And of course, there's a tremendous demand for that right now. It's just below a buy point. The buy point on this one, 32.77. Currently, it's up after hours, 29.90. So this is actionable. Now, we did have a little bit of a slip in terms of the sales this quarter. It was down a little bit, about 8%, but the profits were up 19%. So I do expect this one to maintain a pretty good cash flow. The cash flow on this one, $4.46. Basically, it's a 9 PE. That means for the value of the share, you're getting basically, this is an incredible, PE ratio of 9. And right now, this seems to be working. So this is the one you might want to look at as well. It's called Flex LNG. They had a huge dividend. It had to be adjusted. They had a huge dividend yesterday, and they had to adjust for that. But very, very good stock. Very good stock as well. This kind of shows you a little bit of how it's stacking up. Most of my profits, of course, are in Chevron this month, followed by Flex LNG. And then I have another stock in there, which is actually it's an ETF. It's called, what it does is that as the 30-year bond rate goes up, this one goes up as well. And this stock is doing okay. It's called the Pro Shares 30-year plus, but it's called the TBT. And this is more of a safety play for me because I do believe that we're going to see interest rates going up here. And when the interest rates go up, this one goes up as well. And it was up today, and it's up after hours. Again, it was up about 4% to 4% for the week. Let's go over the daily chart to take a look at it. And it was up also for the day. It was up just slightly for the day, but it's up about 4% for the week. This is I typically looking more at the weekly charts because that's going to give us a little bit better look in terms of this market. But For the week, this stock was up about 4%, 4.6%. It's TBT. Now, it's still actionable. This one is still actionable if you want to get into it. It's coming off of this base. Not the greatest, necessarily not the greatest buy point, but it is a reversal, and it is something that you might want to consider. It's called the TBT, and that's what that is. All right. Just wanted to, oh, that's Zim. That's also available. Okay, so we need to get into the questions now. Thank you for bearing with me in my long-windedness. Let's get to the first question. Thank you so much. All right, what's up with LPI? Let's look at LPI. All right, LPI. And LPI is Laredo Petroleum. Well, it looks pretty good to me, actually. I like Laredo Petroleum. Now, it's not Laredo Petroleum here. There was a lot of there was this little mark here means that there was a tremendous amount of selling that we had, but now people are coming right back into the issue. It's up 107. It's a little bit extended. The correct buy point on Laredo is 88.30. Let's kind of look and see kind of on the fundamentals how it's doing. It's definitely, the sales are up 113%, 209% on the on the profits. That's looking really good. Cash flow per share $21.26, and that's pretty amazing because this has a price to earnings ratio of 8. So very, very strong here. We also have a blue dot here. That means that if the RS line, the relative strength line, is at an all-time high. It's at a new high. So this is something that you're always really looking at here, is that relative strength line. That's this blue line here. And it is at an all-time high. If you'll notice, the relative strength, the strength of this stock against the other stocks is moving up. The S&P 500 is moving down. So what's happening is not only is this stronger, not only is this stock individually getting stronger, but it's getting stronger against the averages, the S&P 500. So very good stock. I don't know why you would be concerned with that. I think this is a good stock. It's looking pretty good. I mean, the return on the equity is 52%. That's pretty incredible. So I definitely think if you have this stock, I wouldn't sell it. But here's the thing, and I think you got to always do this, and this is something that, you know, I always put out there to everyone, and you know, this saved my bacon on Tesla because, you know, I made a lot of money in Tesla last year, but because, you know, but I got stopped out of it, and I was a little kind of disappointed when I got stopped out of it. But you know what? It really saved my bacon, and that is, if your stock is down more than 7%, that's your time to sell it and put in a stop loss. Don't leave it up to chance. So that's what I'm saying here. That's what I'm saying here. But Laredo Petroleum, LPI, is looking pretty good. So I wouldn't be a seller of this one unless it has come through my stop loss. So it definitely, that's another reason why it's so important to get a good entry into stocks, and that's not easy. That's why I recommend buying 5% below that pivot, that buy point, and then no more than 5% above it. So basically, you have a 10% range there above and below the pivot. You want to buy it as it's moving up to the pivot, then only about 5% above it. That's really gives you your best entry point. All right. Let's take a look. Thank you very much, Mark. I'm glad to see your comments always. HWM, let's take a look at HWM and see kind of what's going on there. All right, Howmet Aerospace. Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. You know, the aerospace industry, I really expected more out of this one, but looking at the weekly chart, we do have a very nice, it was up about almost 2% this week, 1.6%, and we have some pretty good action on it. It's coming out of a double bottom, which came out of a consolidation. So this is actually pretty good action, consolidation, double bottom, and it does look like it's moving up. On the daily, though, I don't know if it's doing as well, but it's right below the pivot. So this is a little bit seesawy. I mean, that's why it has the double bottom here. It definitely is a dollar bottom. The pivot on this one that I'm seeing is 37.53. So we're right below that at 36.81. So actually, this is not a bad one. I don't think I would probably be in the steel specialty alloys area, not because I don't like the area, but I just think that there's so many better opportunities in oil right now. So maybe I'm going too much into oil, but I think that that's really where the action is. But looking at this stock, how about aerospace? We do have, we do have some very good action on it. We've got the sales up 10%, not bad. 41% in terms of the profits, that's really good. About 64% of our funds are invested in this one, so it's a lot. And it looks like the forecast on this one, the forecast for earnings for this year is going to be up 49%. So the forecast on this one is very bullish, even in a down market. So this one does look very good. So I can't really see exactly the problem here. I think this one's worth buying, actually, based on the fact that their projections are 40% increase in terms of the price. Okay, that's what their projections are. The earnings look like they're going to go up to 141. That's looking pretty good. So the earnings per share is looking good. So I actually like this one. I'm not currently in aerospace. I'm trying to concentrate more in the oil stocks, only because that's where I'm getting most of my action. All right, let's take a question. All right, Jim, with the markets down, can you look at DEPP? They received a 10 million pledge. I don't know what that means. All right, let's look at it. DEPP and see. Are you sure? Oh, well, I think I missed. Let's see if I got it right. No, I don't see that symbol. I don't see that symbol, unfortunately. So I can't tell you. I can't give you more information on that, unfortunately. Yeah, I can't give you any more information because I don't have any information on that one, unfortunately. So I don't have any information on DEPP. It's not appearing on my charts. So that's kind of a bummer. All right, let's take another question. Thanks for that. Okay, thoughts on IBM? Okay. Thoughts on IBM? Okay, well, let's look at IBM. I haven't traded IBM in probably 25 years. Back in the day, when you looked at the stock market in the paper, it had a little box that said computers. That was one of the sections, and then it was computers. That's what with IBM, and then computers without IBM. It was so dominant. It was amazing. All right, it's in a consolidation right now. IBM is in a consolidation, and it is in an upward trend on that consolidation. So that is a good thing. And it did close higher. Now, here's the problem. We've got some resistance at 152. One of the good things about IBM is because it didn't participate in the last real uptrend. It didn't participate in the uptrend. Now, from about November all the way till now, it had a death cross. So it entered that death cross right in November, but it has just entered. As you can see, it's just entered a. Let's see if I can get the markup tool for that. It's just entered a new. Okay, there we go. It's just moved past a. Let's see if I can make that bigger. There we go. Make it red. Let's see if I can make it bigger size. See if I can biggie size it. No, I can't. But anyways, this is the death cross, and this is the golden cross. So it's moved above that 200-day line with the 40-day line. So this is really bucking the system here. We have earnings in 45 days. Relative strength is 39. I don't know if I would buy this here, but it's definitely worth watching. I want to see it come into a little bit more strength. It's part of the reason is it's in It's in an area that is improving computer tech services, but I don't know if I would buy it. Why? Because I just don't think it's strong enough. It's got a 67 checklist. This is my minimum for buying it here. On the technicals, we are a little bit far. We're 3% above the 10-day line. Okay, we're 4% above the 21-day line, so that indeed is looking fairly good. But I just don't. I do like this action. I would pass on this one, just because I would continue. I would continue to watch list on this one. I just think that's the thing that is best to do here. So I would watch list this stock, IBM. I would watch list IBM, and the reason I would is because I don't think it has made enough progress above the 200-day line, but it's still pretty looking decent. So I can't, I'm not dismissing it out of hand. That's why I'm saying I think it's time to watch it and not do, not do anything on that for right now. All right, puts on Visa with consumer spending going down. Boy, I tell you, you know what? I don't like to short when the market is in a confirmed uptrend, and we're barely in a confirmed uptrend. I definitely like your logic, though, because I think that the consumer companies are going to get hit hard, but this just is not a good setup for a short, okay? Because it's even though it's trading below the 200-day line and the line is sloping down, it just doesn't have the correct pattern here. It needs more of a severe pattern. One of the stocks that we might want to look at for a potential short. I'm just trying to think of ones that are breaking down that we could possibly be in. So let's take a look at what areas of the market are doing poorly, and then we're going to look for a chart that probably is going to be not doing quite as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at the industry group rankings, and I'm going to look for basically the worst ones. Let's see, home furnishing retail. That looks like a potentially good area to short. Retail internet, retail network. Okay, so one of the ones we might want to look here would be retail internet. Let's see if we can find a weak stock in retail internet. This is the chart for the entire for all of the retail internet area. But let's look at the stocks that are in this group to find some really weak ones. Well, actually, Amazon is weak, Alibaba is weak, JD, Pinduoduo, eBay, wow, DoorDash. Let's look. Let's just see kind of where is the Chewy. I'll bet you that one is shortable. Okay, let's look at Chewy. Well, we could short Chewy. It just isn't worth anything. I want something that's a little bit more of a high flyer here. Wayfair, that might be an awesome opportunity. Shutterstock, let's see it. Let's look at. Let's look at Amazon for a short. Boy. Okay, well, it's come down and it's rallying. I know this sounds weird, but Amazon actually might be a relatively decent short. I'm not short Amazon right now, but here's why I think that might be the case. I'm on the weekly chart here. It was basically flatlining, basically all of last year, and then it started to lose. Okay, it started really here in March. It sort of came down. Now it's rallying up to this line, but I don't think it's going to be able to. It did rally today. It rallied 14% on the week. That's a lot. But I think that it's not going to get support at this level. I think it's going to go lower. So as it comes up into 2,500, I think that there's a potential that this one might be a short. So if you're looking for a short, this one might be a short. Now, I'm not shorting it currently, and I'm not necessarily recommending it. I need to do a little bit more research. But typically your best shorts are stocks that have been high flyers that have come onto hard times. And I think that's definitely what's happening with Amazon. Let's look at VSTO. Let's look at Olin. Well, Olin. I haven't looked at Olin in a while. OLIN, this is a chemical company, so not a bad area to be in as well. OLIN. Helps if I can. I don't have the fat fingers here on the keyboard, so let's see if we got a good. Let's see if that works. So let's bring that chart up. There we go. All right, this is Olin. Well, why didn't I? OLIN. I should have gotten OLIN. So it's not, for some reason that's not. I wonder if that's the correct symbol. Well, let's look at VSTO. Okay. Vista Outdoor. This one looks like one that might be shortable, to be honest with you. Vista Outdoor, of course, is a gun manufacturer, and this, they're going to be under significant significant pressure here. But I wouldn't want to short it. And I'll tell you why, because this pattern just isn't the right thing. I mean, we sort of, with gun manufacturers, we sort of have the tale of two cities. We have crime just like jumping up in all of our big cities. So people want to buy guns to protect themselves. But on the other hand, we have the anti-gun lobby that wants to take away them. So that doesn't really make for clear direction. So I wouldn't probably be a buyer of either. I would be a watch list on this one, but I probably would not be a buyer. But thank you very, very much for that. Appreciate that comment. Okay, let's take a question from TikTok. I've been sort of neglecting people on TikTok, and that is not a good thing. So let's look at, SPCE. Wow, that's a blast from the past. I did very well in this stock, by the way. This is Virgin Galactic SPCE, but this is totally a hype stock. So let's look at space, and boy, I tell you what, look at that, $6.96. This will never come back. It's lost approximately 90% of its value. It was all the way up here, and I actually have it where I'm showing you where I bought it, and then I wrote it up and I sold it. Yeah, there we go. And we made all the money, but it hasn't been good since. And why? Well, sometimes when stocks lose their value, they lose all their value, and I don't know if this is going to lose all of its value, but this is a $6 stock. I don't think so. So I would not be a buyer of this one. I would just not be a buyer of this one. All right. What is the entry point on LPI? Let's look at this. It's interesting. LPI. It should give you an entry. Well, help if I get it in there. LPI is the. All right, Laredo Petroleum. All right, I will tell you, and you may not want to hear this. Sometimes you don't want to hear what I have to say, but I'm trying to give it to you as straight as I can. And that is the correct entry point on Laredo was $88.30, and now we're at 107. So we're a little bit extended. What that means is that we were extended. The correct entry point for Laredo was 88.30. You see, and then boom, once it hit that, look at how it came up. And this is really interesting. This is very telling. It came up to that 88.30 area, and then it just stopped. Okay, that's the resistance. Then it pulled back, and then boom, it moved way through that, and it went up almost a little over $12. So that's the reason why you want to buy it right about at the pivot or slightly below the pivot, or just north of the pivot about 5%. That's your buy range. You don't really want to buy it at this level. Right now, this stock is extended, so you can't really buy it, and that's unfortunate because it looks really, really good. But LPI is currently extended. So this is a case of it being the right. This is the case of it being the right stock. This is the right stock, but it's the wrong entry point. So here's the thing: I would not enter this stock at this level. It is extended, and because it's extended, it's likely to pull back. Now, I think Range Resources might be in a better position. Let's look at that. RR. No, I'm not getting it. Okay, I can't remember exactly what the symbol is for range, for range resources. Let me see if I can get that for you. See if I can get, let's see, range symbol. Right, and that is range RRC. That's why I couldn't figure it out. All right, so that's RRC. Let's put that in there. This is a E&P company that might be in a place that it can be bought. Yeah, okay. This is in a consolidation. I mean, it doesn't quite show on the pattern rec, but this is one you might want to look at. Why? Because there is a sort of a semi buy point there. It's come back down and it's moved right up. This one is probably buyable right here. Now, this is technically not a buy point, but that's just because my pattern recognition didn't recognize it. But if you look at this, this has all the attributes here. It's got a cup formation, and it's right at a pivot. So this one might be actionable if you're interested in one that is a smaller E&P that's looking pretty darn good. This is called Range Resources. The symbol on this one, the symbol on Range Resources is RRC, and that's Range Resources. And hopefully I'll get this to show correctly. Yeah, Range Resources. So this is one you might want to look at. It doesn't really have technically it's the pivot is back here at 2648, but looking at these charts is about 34.31. So this is definitely something that you could probably put on your list, possibly to buy, because it definitely is set up pretty darn well. All right, we're coming down to the last about 3 minutes or so, and I wish I could get to everybody's question. Yep, there we go. Okay, Amazon rallied into the split, which I expected. Absolutely. Okay, it absolutely did. But you know what? I think it's going to pull back. You watch. I didn't take it. That's absolutely correct, Wayne. Typically, that's what will happen. Is that if the split into the day of record, you're going to see a rally. So that's an easy way. That's an easy play a lot of times with options. I didn't play it this time, but definitely good. The same thing is going to happen. We're coming up on that 24-1 split on Google as well, so that's also one to look at. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. OLN. I'm sorry. There we go. Thank you. OLN. I should remember all these symbols. Olin Corp. Okay, this is a great big oil company. Let's take a look. Chemical company. Excuse me. Let's take a look at it. There is a pivot on it. Basically, a cup with handle at 60.91. We're currently at 64.80. So we're just a tad extended above that pivot. But you know what? I like this pattern. So I might be interested in this one. Let's take a look at the weekly. This is a relatively slow mover, but nice in a nice area. So this is just right at the top of the cup with handle pivot. So this is probably actionable here. I want to look at the fundamentals on this one. We had some very nice earnings. It was up. Their revenue was up 28%. Earnings were up 64%. Wow, that's incredible. And cash flow, very nice, 11.98, 63% return on equity. Wow, that's amazing when you consider. I'm amazed. Some of these old stocks have really come into their own. 8 PE ratio. I really like this. All these things that you're saying here, Charles, definitely something that you should definitely look at. Obviously, these manufacture ammunition, which I actually like the ammunition play better than the gun play. There's a lot of guns out there, but we are basically constrained on ammunition. So in the gun manufacturing, like American Outdoor and that kind of thing, I think that you're right to look at this Olin Corp. I think this is a better play. Why? Because it's not guns that are in short supply, it's ammunition. So that's the thing that is looking pretty good on this one. I like this one. Nice profitability, beautiful PE ratio. So yeah, I think this is viable. I definitely do. I think this is viable right now. So unusual, but definitely think this is viable. So OLN is viable. So I think you're definitely going to be in a good way in this company. This could go a lot higher, but let's kind of go and look at the Wayback Machine here and see. Yeah, this is at an all-time high. Look at this. This is the monthly chart here. This is kind of from the beginning through now. This is all the way from 1988 all the way through to today, and it's at an all-time high. So this is looking very good. Very, very good, Charles. So I think you definitely could. I think this is actionable. I definitely believe that. So very good stuff. All right. Well, we're pretty much at the end. I didn't get to everybody. Okay. Well, let's see if we can do like one last thing. All right. Let's do this. When to sell Exxon Mobil? I think it will go over 105, Charles, by the way. This is the one I didn't include in my list of oil stocks. I really like this stock, of course. I took some profits on this one. I had this one early. I took some profits on it. Here's the general rule about taking profits that I like to follow, and that is you want to, if it's 20% above where the pivot is, and currently the pivot was 89.80. So let's take a look at that. I'm just going to put up 89.80 is the pivot, and we want to go 20% above that. So what we should really start looking to take profits on. We should really start looking to take profits on Exxon Mobil at about 107. So that's where I would start. We're almost there. So what I would do is I would start taking profits on XOM at about 107.50. And this is approximate on this one, but that's kind of where I would be looking to start. Oh, I said it's 170. That's wrong. It's 107.50. Let me put that in there right. 107.50. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is where I would start taking profits on Exxon Mobil, would be right about at 107.50. That's going to be your 20%. So we're at 99.05 in the after hours. I think you can let it go a little bit. I would, that 107 is about 20%, and that has been shown through a lot of back testing to be the area where that's a very good place to start taking profit. So I would kind of hold until it moves to 107, which I think it's going to, based on the chart, and just kind of hang out and then start taking your profits. A third off at 107, and then if it goes a little bit higher, third off, and then hold on to the last third, because that'll give you. Then you'll be riding on the house's money that way. All right. Well, thank you very, very much, everybody. So appreciate everybody jumping by. I'll be back on Monday, and hopefully I will have more to show you on some of these oil stocks, because I think we are presented a really good opportunity right now in the oil stocks. So this is where we want to be looking for. This is where we want to be looking. But in the meantime, if you could like my show, I would so appreciate it. That really helps me. It gets me get out to everybody. By the way, we're broadcasting on Instagram today for the first time. Hopefully that's working. And by the way, if you haven't already joined the free Action Trade Alerts, all you have to do is go to www.dallastradingfloor.com, first and last name and an email address, and we'll get you all set up. So thank you very, very much. Please smash the like button. Thank you. And we're going to be, we'll be we'll be back on Monday at, let's see, we have one new person. We'll be back on Monday at 5 o'clock Central Time. And I hope to see you back here then. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy trading.